What's going on? I'm Ray. That's Mike. This is Dear Pats Nation. It's the off season. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but we'll go into it. Mike, let's just jump right into it, man.
Let's do it.
Bill Belichick is now the head coach of North Carolina, and he's focused on improving the Tar Heels in their second season rather than dwelling on being left out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's 2026 class. Despite being the only coach on the ballot and boasting a legendary resume, including 8 Super Bowl titles and 333 career wins, he did not receive enough votes for induction, with some reports suggesting past controversies like Spygate and Deflategate influenced the decision. Belichick emphasized his mindset on concentrating only on what he can control as he looks to rebound from a disappointing 4-8 season at North Carolina after his long tenure with the New England Patriots ended in 2024. Mike, do you think that Bill Belichick deserved to make the Hall of Fame as a first ballot, or was this snub justified?
Oh, he absolutely deserved to get in first ballot. This is absolutely ridiculous. We've talked about this. This, basically takes a slice out of like what the Hall of Fame should be, right? From now on, everyone going forward, to be a first ballot coach now is basically going to be impossible because you're going to say Bill Belichick didn't get in on the first ballot. I'll leave it there. I don't have much to say to this. I can't even play devil's advocate. Like, listen, this is a little too close for us, near and dear to my heart, what this guy gave this franchise, but not only the NFL. Like, listen, everybody plays the game the way they play now in some way, shape, or form because of this man. He changed the game.
How much do you think controversies like Spygate and Deflategate should impact a coach's Hall of Fame chances? Like, put it on the other foot. If this was not Bill Belichick and this was Andy Reid and he had Spygate and Deflategate under him, how much should that impact the Hall of Fame?
I think it would impact anybody. I mean, clearly did in this case, but for Andy Reid, even, I think, what does he have now? 3 Super Bowl wins and 5 appearances. I still don't think that should affect him being a first ballot Hall of Fame coach.
Could the argument not be that the only reason he has all these Super Bowl appearances is because he's a cheater?
Listen, anybody who wants to argue that the Patriots cheated their way to 9 Super Bowls, under his tenure, I'm sorry. If you want to make the argument for one, that's fine. I understand people don't like the Patriots, but listen to Willie McGinnis. He has a great clip on this. I wish I had the quote in front of me, but basically said, like, they played better after Spygate in some regards because they felt jaded and they knew that the work that they were putting in was not because of quote unquote stealing other teams' signs and signals. So
do you believe that Bill Belichick can turn North Carolina into a top college program after they went 4-8 his first season? Or do you think Bill Belichick's time as a coach is probably past him?
I don't think his time as a coach is necessarily past him, but I think the environment may have passed him by, with the transfer portal and the way the kids operate as opposed to, NFL players and players who have graduated. We'll see. I'm not listen, this guy knows more about coaching than anybody in the universe. So I wouldn't put it past him to have a good season, but I also wouldn't put it past him or past it to say that, yeah, I think the environment has passed him by, not necessarily his own abilities, if that makes sense.
So veteran umpire in the Major League Baseball, C.B. Buckner, who has been terrible over his career, had a pretty difficult game during the Reds and Red Sox extra inning where the Reds did defeat Boston, unfortunately, with 6, Mike, of his calls being overturned by the new ABS challenge system. The Reds successfully challenged all 5 of their attempts while Boston went 1 for 3. And this highlights Buckner's inconsistent strike zone pretty much throughout his whole career. Yeah. Tensions also rose when a controversial check swing strikeout call against Trevor Story was made without consulting another umpire. That obviously led to visible frustration and the ejection of the Red Sox manager, Alex Cora. Despite the rough outing, Cora acknowledged that the umpires are human, and Buckner himself appeared to recognize his mistakes. Mike, there are people out there who believe that the ABS system could be exposing Major League umpires. But if anybody heard my rant after the Dominican-US game, Major League Baseball umpires have been ruining baseball and making it about themselves for years. And I'll tell you what, watching Buckner's face when Suarez made his second tap in his second ABS challenge, he had this look of defeat on his face. I was watching the John Boy breakdown of it, and he was basically saying, like, Buckner had this look as if to say, man, like I have no control in this game like I used to. I'm supposed to control this game. And I think it's absolutely amazing that they finally brought this technology into baseball. I honestly believe that they have the technology that you don't need an umpire behind home plate ever, and that you're able just to have the guy stand there and just get told ball, strike, because there's nothing worse than a game being decided because of a bad umpire. And I know that I'm one of these people that are like, I will never blame a referee or an umpire for a win or a loss because other things need to happen. However, in tight games, you don't want to even mention or know who the umpire or referee is. It's actually amazing to me because you think about like the bad NFL refs and you can name every single one of them. But if I told you to name me all the best refs in the NFL, you probably couldn't name them, because I think if you are invisible and nobody knows who you are, you're probably doing a good job as an official in whatever respective sport that you're a part of. And I do believe that umpires, referees, whatever sport you may talk about, I believe that they should be held accountable for their mistakes. And I've said that on so many different occasions. How often does a player make a mistake and have to stand in front of the media for like 25 minutes explaining that same mistake over and over again? And yet umpires, referees, they can blow calls, they can turn games around, and they say absolutely nothing. I'm reminded of New England versus Kansas City and N'Keal Harry finally scoring a touchdown for the Patriots, turning a game around that was pretty tight, and the referee saying that they stepped out of bounds. Now, I can make the same argument and say Bill Belichick lost 2 challenges and had no challenges left. So that's kind of on the coach for making bad challenges in the past. But why do we even have to be there? How can you be that incompetent at your job that you can't see a guy 2 feet away from the out of bound line? And I think that it's absolutely atrocious when referees and a referee's decision or an umpire's decision is discussed after a game and that it had any kind of bearing on an outcome, even if it didn't. And that's all people can talk about. And I think that when you break it all down and you look at officials and you look at this new ABS system, I think that it's something that every league should be looking at. How can you make officials better? I think that for a lot of times you can take the officials out of the game. It can all be done by eyes in the skies and robots and all that kind of fun stuff. Mike, Tom Brady said that he might be coming back to football. Did you hear that?
I did hear this.
So Tom Brady revealed that he briefly explored coming out of retirement to play again, but the NFL was not supportive, largely due to the rules about active players from holding ownership stakes. Now, I do want to point out that in other leagues, this has happened. Michael Jordan was an owner of the Wizards, and he was still playing. Mario Lemieux was the owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL, and he played, but the NFL, because they're already corrupt as sin, don't want it to happen. So anyways, despite speculation sparked by his strong showing in a recent flag football game, Brady emphasized that he is content staying retired, now a minority and strategic advisor of the Las Vegas Raiders. He has no daily role with the team, which is coming off a 3-14 season, but they hold the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Mike, do you think the NFL should allow someone like Brady to return as a player while owning part of a team?
No, and it just, Tom, hang it up, bud. Hang it up. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. I just, I don't know what to say about Tom Brady and his shenanigans. Like, listen, I love Tom Brady, but I think we discussed this a couple weeks ago. Like, dude, just the weirdness, everything going on around you. I tend to believe this is just him yeah, I want to keep my name out there and get a laugh out of everybody. I really hope not. And like listen, if anybody could do it, he could do it. If 85-year-old Philip Rivers could roll off his couch at 395 pounds and play, football, Tom Brady, of course, could. But
Well, that was going to be my question to you. Would a 48-year-old Tom Brady still be competitive if he made a comeback?
oh, absolutely. It would just be like watching Aaron Rodgers on steroids. He's not going to want to get hit ever. He's always going to throw the ball away. Yeah, he made an awesome looking pass in a flag football game with somebody running at him, but it's because he knows he can't hit him. Well, what are you going to do when that's Myles Garrett coming after you? And conversely, what is Myles Garrett going to do? Like, oh yeah, I want to be the one responsible for killing the old man on the field. No. So it's not fair because the defender can't play properly. You're not going to get to see the best version of Tom. Just don't do it. Tom, we love you. Just be content playing with the Raiders
Are you
in the
surprised that
front office.
Are you surprised that the NFL is not supportive of it? Because you'd think that they'd be more than happy to have one of their biggest draws. I would assume you'd have to play for the Raiders. That would be my assumption. Like you have to play for the team you own.
Yeah.
But don't you think they would sell a lot of jerseys. They'd sell a lot of Vegas jerseys. There'd be a lot of New England Patriot fans buying Las Vegas Raiders jerseys. And all of a sudden the Raiders Nation would be strong with Tom Brady back on the field.
I guess, but also, I mean, you kind of touched on it, right? Like, do the owners want to open up that door to like backroom deals with like giving their players portions of the team and things like that? And I think ultimately that's what this is about, right? Is really the backroom smoky deals that could potentially happen if you open this door. Not
So
necessarily.
instead of tampering, we'll let you be a part owner of the team, and then you can come play for us.
Exactly. Matt Ryan is already kind of crossing that line a little bit. I know he's not playing, obviously, but he's part of like the front office of the Falcons, right? How was that maybe a backroom thing with the owner? Like, Matt, when you're out of it, we'll hire you for something. We'll probably have to wait a year or two because if we do it right away, it'll look funny, but 2 years down the road, we'll keep writing you a check for $2 or $3 million every year if you take a pay cut.
Are you surprised that Matt Ryan went back to Atlanta to be an advisor and not with the Colts because the Colts gave him the best team that he ever played for?
It is a little shocking at some points just because, the Colts really did do a lot for him. They put a lot around him, even though the Falcons were responsible for maybe one of the best teams ever put on the field, an MVP season, and actually going to a Super Bowl. It is a little funny.
Mike Thomas wants to know, do we think that Brady will be kept off the first ballot?
No. And like I said before, the Hall of Fame's already degraded itself by not letting Bill Belichick in. They've opened up like a Pandora's question about how votes are cast, how the process works. People are talking about reverting the process. If you keep out Tom Brady, who's a generally likable guy, like for everything I just said, Tom Brady is infinitely more likable than Bill Belichick. And what they did in this process by making Bill Belichick the sympathetic character undermine the process. If you keep Tom Brady out, you might they're going to have to rebuild the entire process.
How much do you think Brady's advisor role with the Raiders will actually impact the roster? Like, how much do you really think? Well, how much of a say do you think he really has?
I think in the short term, he'll have a lot of say because I think that organization is pretty dysfunctional. I don't know how much it will in the long term, in the day to day. I think right now it looks really good, right? From like a PR standpoint, like, oh, we have Tom Brady like hand picking the first overall pick who just happens to be a quarterback from like an undefeated national championship team. That's great. Let's see how it carries on in a couple of years.
So Tiger Woods faces renewed uncertainty after being arrested following a car crash and booked on charges including driving while intoxicated, property damage, and refusing a urine test despite no alcohol being detected in a breathalyzer. I don't know if anybody saw the video. It was the most ridiculous DUI I've ever seen in my life, as he kind of just drove straight up the middle of a lawn and right into a lamppost. I think he fell asleep, Mike. That's what I think happened. The incident adds to a history of legal and health setbacks, including a prior DUI arrest and multiple serious injuries from past crashes and surgeries. The timing is pretty significant as Woods was preparing for the Masters and considering a Ryder Cup captaincy role and remaining heavily involved in shaping the future of professional golf. Now, while he continues to be one of the sport's most influential figures, this latest episode puts many of his upcoming plans on hold and raises further questions about his future, both on and off the course. And of course, some people are going to wonder, what does this do to Tiger Woods' legacy? And all I can say to you is absolutely nothing. If we have learned anything, there is not much you can do outside of murder to really tarnish a legacy. And I still know people on this planet who will defend Aaron Hernandez to this day. If you are a popular sports figure, you are pretty much given carte blanche to do what you want when you want. There may be some isolated outrage when an incident first happens, but you'll always be welcome back. Look at everybody who's forgiven Ray Rice because he's went and done a few speeches at a battered women's shelter. Look at the people who just blatantly ignore that Julian Edelman was accused of inappropriately touching a young lady when he was a young player and Robert Kraft kind of paid to make it go away. That's not even a discussion when we talk about Julian Edelman. Ben Roethlisberger is still loved in Pittsburgh and everybody bows down to him. And the stories go on and on and on. Sports is probably the only media where somebody does something heinous and the first reaction from the fan base is, well, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And because of that, and everybody wanting to preserve the legacy, especially of a Tiger Woods being 40 years old, and the people who are probably involved in these conversations are probably in the 40-year-old range. We all grew up as young kids watching Tiger Woods actually bring golf to the forefront. I didn't care about golf until Tiger Woods became a professional golfer. And I watched him and I remember him and Vijay Singh. I remember him in the US Open. Yeah. And basically, I think Tiger Woods could drink himself as much as he wants, and as long as he's Tiger Woods, everybody's going to remember the Tiger Red. They're going to remember the Masters, the hug with his father, the hugs with his children, and I think it was 2017 when he came back and won the Masters, or 2019. And I don't think that this does anything. It's just Tiger having another run in, and there you go.
Yeah, I think most people are of the same, spot in mind that we're at right now. Like, Tiger just needs to get some help, get his life under control. But you're right. I don't know if it affects his legacy at this point because he's just kind of been doing this for the last couple of years anyway. It's just one story after another.
I think that you and I have been very, very cautious, and I'm kind of proud of the way that at least in our small, platform have held athletes accountable and owners accountable, and we've called some of our favorite players out on their bullshit. I mean, as simple as on the field actions. Everybody remembers me going off about Gronkowski when he dropped the elbow on Tre'Davious White, and we've called out bad behavior by players and by ownerships and by everything as we went down across the board. We've talked about Tyreek Hill, we've talked about Robert Kraft, and kind of everything in between. And I think you and I especially have acknowledged that we completely understand that we primarily cover the sport of football, and it's primarily full of really bad guys who do really bad things, who have God complexes and superiority complexes and will hurt people. And yet it's still one of the greatest forms of entertainment on the planet. We will do what we can to expose those athletes. I agree with you, though. I'm not here to hold Tiger Woods accountable. I think Tiger Woods needs to hold himself accountable. And I agree with you. I think Tiger Woods needs some help, and he needs to get himself on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I read this week and thought this very interesting. The New England Patriots, after addressing several key needs in free agencies with additions like Romeo Dobbs, Draymond Jones, Kevin Bayard, Elijah Vera Tucker, they are actually, or I guess rumor is they are considering a potential reunion with former Super Bowl champion Kyle Van Noy. The veteran linebacker remains a productive option coming off a strong 2024 season with a career high 12 and a half sacks and continue to contribute in 2025 with the Ravens. His versatility as an edge rusher who can play both defensive end and outside linebacker makes him a strong fit for New England's defense. And his previous contract suggests he could be a cost-effective signing to bolster their linebacker unit. Mike, do you think that bringing back Van Noy would meaningfully improve the Patriots' defense?
No, I don't. I think he's 36 years old now, 37 years old. He is up there. He had kind of found the fountain of youth with the Ravens the last year or two and been pretty productive, but I think the Patriots need to get younger, faster. I think Vrabel told you that last year, and honestly, I just looked this up real quick. It looks like somebody may have asked him if he would be up for a reunion, but nothing from like the Patriots side. And then, of course, like the one headline I'm seeing here is from the reputable heavy.com. Patriots advised to bring back Pro Bowler if Max Crosby trade falls through. So I don't remember the Patriots ever actually finalizing that trade for Max Crosby, but you know.
And the Heavy's a very reliable source, Mike. It's a very reliable source. Okay, let's pretend that they were considering Kyle Van Noy.
Sure.
How much value does Van Noy's versatility add compared to maybe bringing in like a young edge rusher in the draft?
I mean, maybe you could get him in there for like 4 to 6 weeks in a rotation until, let's call it your first round or second round draft choices ready to go full time. So you're talking about a, really probably heavily supplemental guy or rotational guy in Kyle Van Noy. So again, I wouldn't be like, if somebody told me the Patriots were going to bring him in on like a 1 year, $5 million deal, I'd be like, that's fine, whatever. Like, no big deal. Not that I don't like Kyle Van Noy. I just, that's the kind of scenario I would have to see it in.
So whether it's Kyle Van Noy or Max Crosby or somebody, I know they're two different players, but it's just somebody else.
Yeah.
Should the Patriots prioritize a veteran or should they be developing younger talent?
I mean, I think they brought in the veteran talent on the edge, that we're going to see for now. You might see another body after the draft if they don't, get who they want. Maybe it's a, Von Miller or Kyle Van Noy, somebody like that. If they end up getting their, like, let's say they get their pass rusher in the third round because they decide to go elsewhere. That's when I would see them pick up a guy like this after the draft. I do think they wanted, to the point you made, develop younger talent. I think they brought in, his name's escaping me. Who's the edge rusher they brought in free agency from the Ravens?
Not Draymond. Is it?
Yeah, Draymond
yeah,
Jones.
Draymond Jones.
Yeah, I think that's their paid addition, the guy that they wanted that still has some juice left. They want to bring in another draft choice and probably give one of the guys, from last year that they drafted as well some runway, because I think they have 2 or 3 guys that are kind of, if you gave them some time and development, you want to see where they go.
Yeah, but how much was Draymond Jones benefited because he was playing with Kyle Van Noy? No, I'm just joking. Hey, boxing fans, Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s upcoming September 19th rematch with Manny Pacquiao in Las Vegas has been announced that it will be an exhibition fight that won't count towards their official record. And at this time, the exact venue remains uncertain, which is kind of rare when you have a fight scheduled for September 19th. The Sphere is only a possibility. The bout comes 11 years, Michael, after their highly anticipated first fight, which fell very short of expectations despite its massive financial success. Now both of them are nearing 50, and Mayweather framed the rematch as entertainment rather than competition. noting that he enjoys staying active and putting on an exhibition event for fans while spending time with family. Now, some of you might be wondering, will this fight be worth watching? The answer is no. It's like anybody who tuned in to watch Paul versus Tyson.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson was one of the greatest of all times, but Mike Tyson was an old man and that fight was boring. Listen, the first Mayweather Pacquiao fight was probably the most disappointing fight I had ever watched in my entire life. As a boxing purist and as a guy who at one time thought that Floyd Mayweather was the best pound for pound fighter to ever fight, like better than Muhammad Ali, better than George Foreman, better than Joe Frazier, better than Mike Tyson, better than Sugar Ray Leonard, pound for pound, to me, Floyd Mayweather at one point in his career was the best pound for pound fighter to ever fight. I don't want to see a 50-year-old Mayweather and a 50-year-old Pacquiao have another disappointing bout. I'm actually getting really tired of all these old boxers coming out of retirement for a payday and all of us getting nostalgic and being like, I need to do a $50 pay-per-view buy and watch this fight. I have zero interest in it. And I think the boxing community should shun this fight just to deter anybody else from maybe considering coming out to have another fight. By the way, if anybody's wondering who I think the best pound for pound boxer ever is now, it's Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is a machine. I know he's getting older, but that kid is phenomenal. Anyways, Mike, do you have any interest in this fight, like whatsoever?
No, I remember when they fought, it was what, a decade ago now, basically, like 2014, 2015, and there was so much hype around the world for this thing the first time around. I remember Floyd Mayweather being on like WWE before and after to like build hype around it. Pacquiao was all over the place. And yeah, I remember going over to a buddy's to watch it and just being like, it was all right.
It was a terrible fight.
Yeah.
It was an absolutely terrible fight. I couldn't. Anyways, let's get back to some Patriots. This is what Mike does best. The New England Patriots, Mike, I believe may regret letting edge rusher Clavon Chaseon leave in free agency after he signed a 1-year, $11 million deal with those Washington Commanders following a career best 2025 season. Now, I know that New England brought in Draymond Jones to fill that role, but the move comes with a lot of risk as Jones offers more run defense, but less passing rush upside compared to Chaseon, who led the team's edge production. With the Patriots already ranking low in sacks last season, losing Chaseon's pressure could hurt just a little bit, especially given his relatively affordable contract. While the team plans to rely on current players in the draft to improve the pass rush, replacing Chaseon's impact may prove difficult and become a lingering issue. Do you think, Mike, that the Patriots made a mistake letting Clavon Chaseon walk away for $11 million?
I'm going to straddle the line on this and basically cop out and say I trust Mike Vrabel. This would be like a Belichick on defense kind of maneuver. Like, I may not like it on its face. In fact, let's use the J.C. Jackson contract. If anybody remembers this as an example, right? Everybody was like, can't believe Belichick didn't re-sign him. Can't believe what's going on. And basically, from that point on, J.C. Jackson was cashed. Okay, like he played
even when he returned to New England.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just trust what Mike Vrabel sees here behind the scenes to go. He was good. Basically, we need to get better. We're gonna draft somebody this year. We're gonna continue to get again, draft some of the or not draft. I'm sorry, develop some of the depth guys. They're gonna hope Harold Landry is healthier. They're gonna rely on Draymond Jones, that kind of thing. So do I think they'll miss him? Short story, yes. Long story, again, kind of straddling the fence here and saying I trust Vrabel to say that we can do better.
Is Draymond Jones a better long-term fit than Chaseon, or did New England lose too much pass rush upside?
I don't think so, because if you listen to what some of the experts say on Chaseon, basically he was like a one pony like speed rusher, whereas Draymond Jones gets a little bit dirty with the run blocking and some of the other things I think Mike Vrabel likes to do. So I think, right, if we think of this in terms of the interior of their defense, right, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, if you lock those edges up, that allows these guys through the middle to do more of the dirty work that Mike Vrabel wants them to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and say I still think it's an upgrade over Chase on.
Should the Patriots focus on fixing their pass rush through the draft or free agency moving forward?
Well, I think free agencies, again, we talked about it. You're going to kind of get older depth guys at this point, Kyle Van Noy, guys like that. So it's supposed to be a really good edge class. You're talking about guys on, day one, day two, day three that might go in the top of the draft otherwise. So I think they're definitely focused on the draft.
All right. So this wasn't on the docket, but we did see this come up on X just as we were coming onto the show. So, Mike, let's talk about it. Patriots owner Robert Kraft told reporters he's in favor of an 18th regular season game under three conditions: remove one preseason game from 3 to 2, add a second bye. All 32 teams should have an international game every year, and the NFL is trending towards an extended season. I'm just going to ask you, how do you feel off the hop about them possibly extending to an 18th game, and throw in the fact that we'll have to watch an international game on top of it?
Yeah. So we kind of knew that it was trending this way, right? So a couple things here. The NFL wants every team to have an international game because of the money. First and foremost, we all know what it's about. It's all about the money. Second off, there was a really important piece in here, a second bye week for all teams. So this is great because you don't end up with teams that get like the week 6 bye, or the Patriots the last 2 years who get like the week 16 bye and get kind of screwed. This will allow them to kind of break up the season, I think, for teams that need that rest a little bit more. And let's be honest, the pretext here was they're going to get rid of a preseason game, which that's fine with me. I don't know about you, but does anybody really love watching these preseason games anymore? Do they mean that much to, anybody? Probably not.
You know who I think it means a lot to? The fringe guys. The guys who are trying to work their ass off to make this team, the guys that are trying to be on that 53-man roster, the guys, because let's face it, by the time they get into preseason, they've got about 48 names locked in to the roster. Yep. And then there's those last 4 or 5 spots where guys are competing, trying to get that spot. And if not with that team, they're trying to showcase themselves to the rest of the NFL, saying, hey, look at me.
Right.
I would say add a game under the pretext that starters can't play more than like 10% of a preseason game, because typically when you get into the third preseason game, that's where like your starters will play the first half to get some under them. And for me, Mike, as far as I care, I think that when it comes to getting a team prepared, I think joint practices mean a lot more than a preseason game does. Let's face it, Mac Jones stole the job from Cam Newton because Cam Newton couldn't show up to a joint practice with New York, and and Mac Jones stole the show. So I think that it's more about that. But I agree with you. I think it's all about money. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. The NFL season is long. Like it's a short but long season.
Yeah,
and now they're playing on Wednesdays. And, they're opening up the season on Wednesday. So opening week is going to have a game on Wednesday, a game on Thursday, a game on Sunday, a game on Monday. And I feel like there was something special about 16 weeks, 17 weeks, because there's a bye. But you watch your favorite team for 16 weeks, every Sunday, the occasional Monday. And there was something about it. I think that could the NFL be at a point where you're watering down the product? I don't want to watch the Patriots at 9:30 in the morning in London.
No, that's not your favorite thing to do. I think they're on the precipice. I think if you get it to the point where, and I've heard this and I like the idea. Basically, you take the Super Bowl up to President's Day weekend in the United States, so everybody has that following Monday off, right? Because it's annoying for anybody who loves football and the Super Bowl because half the people in the United States are taking that Monday off as a holiday anyway. So I think that's to the point when you get to around about 20 games where you're kind of saying like, okay, we're at full saturation here, right? Because then you open up this weird thing of like, then if you're going to do 20, are you going to do 25, and like what the hell does that eventually look like? Because then the players have no off season.
Well, and it's like when you're getting deep into the NHL playoffs, and it's like June, it's like July,
Right.
and the Stanley Cup final is still on. Nobody wants to watch hockey in July. You know who's watching hockey in July? The two
Nerds.
teams, the fans of the two teams in the championship. Everybody else is like, I got patios to sit on and bands to go watch and beer to drink. And I'll be real with you, like, it's been a long time. It was 1993, the last time I saw the Toronto Blue Jays go to a World Series. They went to Game 7 of the World Series this year. That brought us into November.
Mm-hmm.
And, dude, that's a long time. When you start watching baseball at the end of March and you're watching in November, that's a long, 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 long season, especially for a guy like me that's used to the season being over at the end of September. To add an entire month and a bit. And
Yeah.
I just think I agree with you. I think football is at risk. The NFL is at risk. It's the reason that no other league has taken on. Summer football hasn't worked. The XFL, the AFL, all these different leagues, all these different summer leagues and these developmental leagues that have tried to compete, not compete, but try. The CFL here in Canada, the only reason it's still on is because it was actually established like 40 years before the NFL, right? It was already ingrained into us. But if they tried to start this after the fact, it would have lasted a season like everybody else. It would have folded because people are sick of football by the time the Super Bowl's over. People say they're not, but you are. The best part about football is there is a long anticipation, and it's the only sport that finishes in February. Maybe because I'm a podcaster and I do commentary on it, by the time the Super Bowl comes along, it's like, as much as like it's exciting, it's like I need a little break now. Like I don't want to be up to date, up to minute with every little thing happening with the roster. And this guy said that, and this is happening, and everybody's mad because of this. Like it's fun to take a little break. And now we're getting into April. I'm getting into baseball season, and then come August, I'll start getting the NFL itch will come around.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to say, because we've talked about it at length, when the podcast was in its other incarnation, is really, especially if you're a content creator. I know we've slowed down on the amount we do the once a week, but when we did multiple days a week during the off season, you realize that the NFL is really the only 365 day a year product, because it's not just about the game being played on the field. We maybe get 6 weeks off depending on when your team gets eliminated to the point of the Super Bowl. You get a couple of weeks in between draft and free agency, and honestly, that's content wise, that's some of the hottest in the of the year, because depending on where your team is, right? Like last year with Will Campbell in that draft, we were covering the draft every day. There was some new smoke every day. So it's so hard to say, like, when do you actually get time off? And it does get to the point, you guys, inside baseball here, no pun intended. That's one of the things that like burnt us out when we were doing multiple days a week, is it's hard to find time in there to actually like take a break and decompress. So when you get back to the season, you're not just like, oh, we got to do this all over again. Like, oh,
because it's almost just, I'm going to be honest, it almost just drifts into one. Like by the time the season starts, it doesn't feel like it ever really finished. It's also a reason that people might notice that we're talking about other sports briefly, but we're bringing other sports into it because we just need a little break. Speaking of other sports, we're in Toronto. The Blue Jays are exciting. I want to talk about the Blue Jays, Mike. I want to talk about them.
Go for it.
So the Blue Jays are 3-0. I don't know what's happening right now. I'm going to start the game after this podcast, Mike. So do not tell me the score and be a dick and look it up and tell me what's happening.
All right, I'll do that right now.
But they had an incredible start to the season, especially the first two games. They won an 8-7 extra inning game over the A's on Saturday night. And it was marking back-to-back, Mike, walk-off victories. Back-to-back walk-off victories. So it was a walk-off on Friday night in the 9th inning and a walk-off in extra innings on Sunday, the first time that's ever happened in history. Ernie Clement delivered a game-winning hit in the 11th inning, while rookie Spencer Miles had a remarkable MLB debut, pitching a clean inning and earning a win despite minimal minor league experience. The game featured strong early pitching by Dylan Cease and a late-game collapse. The Blue Jays over 3 games struck out almost 50 pitchers or 50 batters, Mike. 50 strikeouts in 3 games. The Blue Jays are playing great. But here's what I want to say about this. The Blue Jays winning the first 2 games of the season on walk-offs and then winning by the long ball on Sunday is the most Blue Jay win when you look at this team in this carnation and the way they were last year. I'm not saying the Jays are going to go to the World Series because the AL East is good. Boston got better. The Yankees got better. Baltimore got better. They're all. I think I saw a thing that Toronto, Baltimore, New York, and Boston all had over a 50% chance of making the playoffs. Remember that only one team in each division, and then 2 wild cards make the playoffs, and yet 4 teams. Like, there's going to be a team that has a winning record that may not make the playoffs in the AL East. That's how stacked the AL East is.
Yeah.
If you're a Boston, I know a lot of our fans are from Boston. You're a Red Sox fan. If you're a Yankee fan, a Blue Jay fan, a Baltimore fan, it's going to be a fun year. But this is what this Blue Jay team does, man. They just win these rough and tough games, and what makes them so fun and exciting to watch. And the fact that Vladimir Guerrero hasn't hit a home run yet, and the fact that it's guys like Andres Jimenez and Ernie Clement who are the heroes, and 50 strikeouts. Mike, it's baseball season. I think the WBC, I was saying to somebody, the WBC got me so jacked up for baseball that, like, I'm just like, we're like, Kate's right into it. Like, she's not even starting the game. She's like, as soon as you're done the podcast, come down so we can start the baseball game, right? Like, and then we're going to, like, we're just into it. We're just into it. And, you know, the World Series on top of it. But I want to put a warning out to Pat's Nation and Blue Jay fans and everything all over. I went through a streak, Mike, years ago. Like, I cheer for the German soccer national team, as you know. I cheer for Bayern Munich. I cheer for the Patriots. I watched my teams go to 7 straight championships and lose before it all kind of opened up. Bayern Munich won the Champions League. The Patriots won the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, Germany won the World Cup. All of a sudden, championships started rolling, and I couldn't lose after that. In November, I watched the Blue Jays lose a heartbreaking Game 7 in the World Series. I saw the Patriots have a heartbreaking, get demolished in the Super Bowl. It's not good, guys. If I'm back on a streak, we're all in trouble. But listen, going back to what we were just talking about, take a little break. Go watch some basketball. Go watch some baseball. Watch some hockey playoffs. Go have a beer. Go play some lawn bowling. You know, I just joined for this summer. I just joined the club. I think it's gonna be a bunch of old Italian men and me.
I mean, so bocce's fun. I'm not even gonna make fun of you for being old because I think it's fun. Every summer we pull it out and play it during the holidays.
Yeah, bocce's amazing. So I joined the bocce club. It's gonna be me and a bunch of old men, but I don't care. Yeah. I like playing bocce. Just everybody take a break from football. Take a little break. You don't have to watch it 7 days a week. And yeah, we'll have some fun. Anyways, let's talk about football.
Damn right.
The New England Patriots have made several free agents additions, but have surprisingly done little to fix their biggest weakness, which is the offensive line, which has struggled the last season, allowing 47 sacks, Mike, and even more in the playoffs. After moving on from center Garrett Bradbury, their only notable addition has been guard Elijah Vera Tucker, leaving the key positions like tackle largely unaddressed. And this has raised concerns about protecting Drake May, especially under head coach Mike Vrabel. Analysts suggest, Mike, you want to hear a name? Sure. Signing veteran tackle Cam Robinson, who brings size, experience, and a strong pass blocking ability, could help stabilize the line, but the Patriots are still expecting to rely heavily on the draft to build the long-term solution. Do you think the Patriots are making a mistake, or do you think they made a mistake by not prioritizing the offensive line more in free agency?
My browser froze, so I hope you can hear me because I can't see anything. There we go. I think they're going to prioritize the offensive line in the first round of the draft. I think Mike Vrabel kind of gave it away this week. I don't know if you saw him working out with the Arizona State offensive lineman. Maybe we'll address that for your next topic. But I really think that's what they're going to do. Either first or second round, pass rusher or offensive lineman. Take your pick of which spot you think they want to take it. But I think, listen, they view themselves as locked up with the guys they have. They addressed, the depth position. They just signed the guy from the Giants last week that we talked about that was the walking penalty machine. So, and I think your information might be a little off. I think Cam Robinson is under contract.
Sorry, it should have been a trade. I meant to say trade, not sign.
Yeah.
Make a trade for Cam Robinson.
Yeah, but
he plays for Cleveland.
Yeah. This is another one that I think there may also be just like the Kyle Van Noy discussion, depending on where the draft goes. Maybe they find a stopgap guy after free agency that they go like, okay, we'll sign this guy, or maybe they get some undrafted free agent and give Dante Scarnecchia a call and go, hey, can you make him like a first round draft pick? And Dante goes, yeah, it's been a couple of years since I did something for you guys, so why not?
Are you at all concerned about Drake May, like in his development and his bounce back from the Super Bowl if they don't put a solid offensive line in front of him? Because I know they're going to address it, but they addressed the offensive line in the first round last year as well, Mike. And as we know, there's growing pains with rookie linemen, and Will Campbell was a prime example of that. Drake May now, I want everybody to know, is in a very vulnerable position because he just got blown out in the Super Bowl. Don't pretend that he doesn't know what everybody's saying, that he hasn't heard the soft schedule, that they're in the Super Bowl despite Drake May. Everybody's showing his playoff numbers, which were brutal. We know they were brutal. A lot of that is because of offensive line play. And if he comes out in the first 3 or 4 games and gets, or first 3 or 4 plays of the season and gets sacked, you could see an unraveling of Drake May, and it is a possibility. Are you concerned if the Patriots don't ensure that they tighten this up?
I'm not concerned so much about his mental stability. I think he's a pretty mentally tough kid. I think my main concern is actually his physical well-being, and we talked about that at the end of the season last year. Listen, he cannot take as much physical abuse as he did last season, and you saw it. He broke down at the worst time possible. This is how good quarterbacks lose years. And what did we talk about last year? If they don't improve the offensive line and Drake May starts losing weeks or years of development, he's not going to become, that player that we hope he is, where he hits his absolute maximum ceiling. You can't lose years of development. That's completely off the table. Now, I like what they did. They signed Elijah Vera Tucker. And we all hope for the best, right? You drafted a guy that at his best, Bill Belichick thought he could be a Pro Bowler, and his physical skills dictate that. But he has serious injury concerns. So what happens there? You still have Ben Brown, depth piece. Again, we just discussed the offensive lineman they got from the Giants, but I think they need to reinforce this offensive line with a first or a second round draft pick. If not, they're doing their quarterback a disservice.
All right, I got to go off a little bit, Mike.
Do it.
I got to go off a little bit on grown men with nothing better to do than go on the internet and do a whole bunch of trolling. So my boy, Andrew Nielsen, and by boy, I mean like we've interacted a couple times on X. He has cerebral palsy. He can't speak. He's bound to a wheelchair. He types to talk.
Yep.
He types with his head and his eyes. And he was a little disappointed with pardon me?
I said that's interesting.
Yeah, so he types with his head and his eyes. I don't know how he does it. He's always got a screen on his thing, but all for him. Big sports fan, big Toronto sports fan. This kid actually every year to raise money for the Easter Seals rappels down the CN Tower. I don't know if you guys know how tall the CN Tower is, but Well, when I was a kid, it was the tallest freestanding structure in the world. I think a couple have passed it since then. It's a
Yeah.
high structure, and he rappels down the side of it to raise money for the Easter Seals in his wheelchair. Like top shelf kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the Toronto Blue Jays, like most sports franchises, are greedy and they just want to make money. And they have converted a lot of the accessible seating in the ballpark to now be regular seats and season ticket holder seats. We're talking, Mike, that we went from hundreds of accessible seating seats to dozens. Like they've really brought it down.
Yeah.
And he basically said, Blue Jays, you broke my heart. In 24, you opened up this area only for people. It was on field. So most people with need accessible seating don't get field level seats. Well, they opened up field level seats for people, for disabled people, for people, need seating. They now have just sold off those tickets to anybody, and it's no longer for accessible seating. He said, so you broke my heart. In 25, you tried to rectify this mistake, and more disabled fans got in. In 2026, you made these season ticket holder seats now, and only 11 instead of 891 fans will enjoy them. So now, instead of 891 people enjoying these seats, 11 fans will do it. Okay? So you see this and you're like, oh man, that kind of sucks. And he got screwed over a bunch of times. Like he bought tickets and it showed on the thing that he was like front row, but then he was like actually behind all the seats, like in the concourse, but he paid to be front row. So he's been screwed over a bunch of times. I was like, dude, the comments,
awful.
Like just bruh. First of all, when you start with bruh, you've lost me. But bruh, world doesn't revolve around you. Be thankful that they're trying their best. Get on the field and make a difference then, bruh. It's another guy. A lot of bras.
Yeah, a lot of bra.
Where's another one? You have a TV in front of you. I want to make clear that this screen in front of him is his fucking mode of communication, right? You have a TV in front of you 24/7. Just go home and watch the game on there. They're like literally his communication devices.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people jumped in. I got a lot of likes because I called everybody out kind of first and then everybody followed suit. But so I'm losing some of these dude, the R word was thrown around a lot. I don't know if you guys still use that in the US.
So did you want my input because of my connection to this? Is that
No, dude, I was pissed about it. Because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you should be able to sit in the front row. Shut the F up, dude, and get over it. Anyone else sick of this retard constantly fishing for this app?
Yeah.
Maybe just don't go. It's like, dude, like, so I'll tell you what I wrote, Mike, and then I'll let you weigh in. Sure. Because I think you obviously can relate to this better than I can.
Yeah.
But I just wrote, like, some of the responses in this are so sad and pathetic. Like grown men with nothing better to do in their life than be douchebags. Yeah. Honestly, it's gross. Be better because it's pathetic.
Yeah. Yep.
But Mike, I'll let you talk. I'll let you weigh in.
Yeah. So listen, I've said multiple times to you, like I made the joke that I am a terrible member of like the disabled persons community. But in this instance, like I don't consider myself on that level, right? Like I have some mobility issues. I've never had to use a wheelchair unless I've gotten like really tired when I was younger. Guys, when you see somebody that needs a wheelchair full time, that's on a different level. Like you need to understand that these aren't people that are looking for your sympathy. They're just looking to enjoy the world the way you do. I understand why it's frustrating. And again, it's like a member of this community to see a lot of people that have now the label of disabled when they're really not, and taking advantage of people's, I don't want to say benefits because it's not really a benefit, but the people who are less fortunate, their avenues to enjoy the game the way we are. Exactly. Like, it's just terrible. Like and I'm just gonna say it. It's gonna sound insensitive. I don't care. When I see a lot of people that are overweight for whatever reason taking disabled like parking spots or opportunities away from people like this that are truly disabled, it breaks my heart. Not because I think that those people require any less, but people like this gentleman, there's nothing that they can do to get better. So again, I understand where the frustration comes from a little bit, but like Ray said, do better. Don't be such an asshole.
And now I want to call it the Rogers and the Blue Jays a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you. This is the ticket. This is where he buys his ticket.
Yeah.
Mike, where would you assume you're sitting?
Like you like
If
I
you're
can't
buying an
point.
accessible seat, would you not assume you're on the
Yeah,
field?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
is that not what it is representing there?
yeah.
Do you want to see where his view was from?
Well, let's see it.
Like, look, it's not a bad view
No, it's
by
still
any
not
means,
a bad view. It's still not a bad view.
but you can see the front row there where he bought the tickets, which they identify as the front row, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
accessible seating. I don't again, I'm like you. I'm very careful I say this, but I see a lot of able bodies sitting there
Yeah.
enjoying the ball game, because all I imagined was all of these people right here stand on the left there standing up,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have an obstructed view of the game.
Yeah, and that again, that's what bothers me. Like, why? What? What were the Blue Jays using this front row for? Because, like, conservatively, I'm going to say that those look like a bunch of, I'll use air quotes like normal able-bodied people. Did they fill it out? Were those like secondary members of the media? Were they like influencers that they wanted to give a front row spot? I don't know, but that's what I'm just going to say that's what it appears like. You wanted to give people that oh, we want to give them a little bit better of a seat, so like to make a good impression. No, how about you make a good impression by giving that seat to somebody who can't enjoy this game the way other people can?
And I want to back up something Mike said. If you saw the text that Mike sent me over the years about the disabled community and him being in the disabled community, if you didn't know he was disabled, you would want to cancel him beyond cancellation.
Yeah.
Mike is not somebody who's I've actually spoken about this, Mike, to Kate, my wife, like in private. Like, I'm like, Mike is just a guy who's like, do not use your disability as an excuse. Like, do not use like your disability as a crutch. Do not use it to get ahead in life. Like, it is what it is. So if Mike is pissed and Mike is saying something, it probably means a little something.
Yeah, and to be honest, somebody who kind of like straddles the line, like I ask for help when I absolutely need it. I'm also like not stupid and gonna kill myself for something I can't do. Like, I'm not afraid to ask for help, but at the same time, Ray used a great term there. I'm not gonna use it as a crutch either, right? Like, just as an example, right? Like, I have a disabled person's placard. I almost never use it. Like, I take some pride out of, walking the extra 300 feet from the back of the parking lot to the front, to the storefront. And like, I wish more people were like that, honestly, because I think the world, like, it sounds stupid. Like, put your carriages back in the grocery store parking lot, like, let the elderly person take a seat. Like, that's kind of what I view it as. Like, if I don't need it, I'm not going to use it. You know what I mean? Again, this gentleman, he's a Blue Jays fan, and he's not going to get any better. Like, this situation's not going to change for him. So let him enjoy the game the rest of the way the rest of us do.
All right, Mike, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds. I'm going to bring this up to you, and I just want one quick reaction to this. The New England Patriots face a daunting road schedule next season with matchups against several top teams, including the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Detroit Lions, and the Miami Dolphins, along with other competitive opponents like the Chargers, Seahawks, and Jets, with multiple playoff caliber teams and tough environments on that list. The away slate shapes up a major challenge and could play a significant role in determining the Patriots' success. Which of these road games do you think is the toughest for the Patriots? How many wins do you realistically see the Patriots having on the road? And will this difficult schedule hurt this team's development moving forward?
Oh, man. I didn't look at the game. I think, well, I know they play the AFC West. Like, the entire AFC West, to me, is just going to be a gauntlet because Patrick Mahomes looks like he's healthy already. I'm just going to say those AFC West games are going to be brutal, I think, for the Patriots, especially the Broncos are going to look to take some blood from you for that playoff loss. It's just going to be a tough road. A lot of travel miles. I think
they're on the road in LA against the Chargers. They're on the road in Seattle against the Seahawks.
That too.
Those are tough games. Those are tough games to play.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it a half dozen times. So, yeah, I'm not as well versed as I should be right now. But the AFC West, the Seahawks, you brought it all up. That's the ultimate thing I'm concerned about this year. And we've talked about it in regards to the AJ Brown potential trade thing. I don't want the Patriots giving away a first-round draft choice because, to me, there is a chance that the Patriots could fall on their face a little bit, at least at the beginning of the season.
I totally agree. Anyways, guys, that was it for this week. We'll be back next week here on Dear Pats Nation. Mike, tell me about those Patriots.
They're going to be legit, kid.
Dear Pats Nation, it's just about time. Yeah, we're back. You know it's Dear Pats Nation. Nation. Yeah. It's Dear Pats Nation. Nation. Come on. Yeah, it's Dear Pats Nation. And the show starts in 3,